it was like it had combined my body with my sister's clothing. No. Hello everyone. I think it might be out of focus. I can't really see without my glasses, but I did do my best. But if everything went absolutely perfect, it wouldn't be a Leah Whispers video. Cheers everyone. I'm drinking just a classic cup of orange pico. Just back to basics. So cheers on this quite cold night. Okay. So I'm going to jump in. I'm just going to quickly say this is obviously soft-spoken, but I will throw a little bit of whispering in every once in a while. I don't know if it's because I'm just getting older and maybe my vocal cords or my voice box is changing. I don't know. But I do find it harder and harder to whisper for long periods of time, which is what these videos are. They take a long time to film. So I hope this is okay. I will whisper here and there, but I hope you can still enjoy it. Okay. Hey Leah. Hey. So before I begin my spooky story, I feel the need to mention that I have been loving falling asleep to your rambling videos. Up until a couple of months ago or so, I was solely focused on your spooky stories, as that is a genre that I love. However, recently, I decided to check out your other videos as I was intrigued, and close whispering helps me fall asleep. And oh my god, they are so comforting. I've been watching your videos for over 2 years now, and I cannot believe that I have been missing out all of this time. Anyway, to the story. Thank you. I'm really glad that you discovered them. That's really cool. I love finding people's old or older ASMR videos, and it's always really fun when you find like a little gem hidden in their backlog somewhere. So I really appreciate that. I'm so happy that you like them. Thank you for watching. Okay. So I got to work one morning about 8:15, and I was the first person to arrive apart from one of my colleagues who I noticed was opening up one of the offices within the building. The building has 3 doors which you can enter through. The main door to the front, the back door which leads straight into the kitchen and the staff room, and then the side door. And this particular day, I entered through the back door as I was parked closer to that entrance. As you exit the kitchen staff room, there's a hallway, and at the end of the hallway is one of the offices. I walk down the hallway to go to my office, which is situated opposite the side door, and as I was making my way, I briefly saw my colleague walking around the office opposite the hallway. Once I got to my office, I set up the computer, turned on the printer, opened the blinds, and checked for any voice messages on the phone, and replied to some emails. I then proceeded to open up the office next to mine before sitting back down in my office with a cup of tea before officially starting my shift at 9 a.m. Just before 9 a.m., my colleague entered the building through the side door. I looked to my left and jokingly laughed, asking her where she ran off to which she somewhat looked at me blankly and stated that she had only just arrived. I thought she probably hadn't woken up properly yet and had maybe forgotten that she had turned up to work before me as I saw her opening up the office. But when I told her this, she looked confused. She clarified that she had not been in the building whatsoever that morning. As you can imagine, I was super confused. Had I imagined it? Had I mistaken her for somebody else? I tried to rationalize this and went around every female staff member asking them if they had opened up this particular office in the morning. But as I had already guessed, nobody had. My colleague always wears her hair up in a top ponytail, slightly on the left, which she braids and lets it hang down her left shoulder. Nobody else has hair like this, and the clothes that this person was wearing were the exact same style clothes that my colleague wears. I brushed it off for the rest of my shift as I knew I had so much work to do, and I repressed what had happened completely. The very next morning, my colleague approached me and told me that she was freaking out. She explained to me that when she got home from work that day, the day of the event, her mom asked her why she had still been home at 10 a.m. She explained to her mom that she was not at home as she had started work at 9. Her mom then told her that she saw her walk into the kitchen and assumed that she was starting work just a little bit later. So, not only had I saw her that morning when she wasn't actually there, her mom did as well. I was in a state of shock and amazement. coincidence that her mom and I experienced the exact same thing on the same morning. We both agreed that we think it was a mimic or maybe spirits playing a game. A little history on the building. It used to be a pub, and it was a pub for a really long time. During its time as a pub, there had been a few murders, one of them being the landlord, Sam. A fair few occurrences have happened whilst the building has transformed into a counseling service, and everyone jokes that it is Sam. A part of us wonders whether this was another one of Sam's practical jokes, or as I said, a mimic a mimic who has latched itself on to my colleague. Oh, I don't like that. I guess we will never know, but my God, it was a strange and unnerving experience. As always, thank you for reading with warmth from Lottie. Cheers, Lottie. That is so creepy. I have always been fascinated by stories about doppelgangers and mimics. I have no idea if they're supposed to be the same thing, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just assuming that they are. It's so creepy. There's so many stories of people seeing themselves, or they have stories of, like their friends and their family members have seen them, but it wasn't them. And it's so spooky. And I don't know what I would do if I was in a big building early in the morning, essentially by myself, knowing that I had seen somebody's doppelganger. I would be really freaked out. So thank you for sharing, Lottie. And my favorite theory on what they are, and this is total nerd science fiction, but the theory that you briefly, for just a small moment, you get a glimpse into a different dimension or different reality, where how there's supposed to be infinite versions of us just living in a different reality and different dimension. For just a split moment, they cross over. It's creepy, creepy, creepy. My brother, two of my friends, saw me in separate events, but it was not me. Another event, my kids and their friend followed something that looked like me, but again, was not me. My boyfriend says that he has heard me talking to him when I was not there. I heard my daughter's distinctive cough when she was not home. 16, I was helping a friend paint her mom's rental. I was in the living room and needed something, so I called my friend's name. When I turned around, I saw her go into the bedroom behind the plastic protective sheets. I followed her in there, talking to her as I passed through the plastic. And I then caught a glimpse of her walking into the bathroom in the far left corner of the room. As I rounded the area and could now see the bathroom, I realized that there was nobody there. I called my friend's name, only to realize that she had been outside. Not long after that first incident, 2 more followed in quick succession. I walked into my living room and my much older brother. In case anyone thinks that it's a brotherly prank, I was about 18, my brother was almost 40, was giving me a weird look. He told me that I had walked past him through my kitchen, through the living room, and then into the bedroom. He said that he was talking to me and I wouldn't answer him. Then I walked out of my room from the opposite direction of the bedroom that he saw me walk into. And then I walked out of the room from the opposite direction of the bedroom that he saw me walk into. Not long after, I was having a party. I had gone down to the store and I was back at my house, outside smoking. 2 of my friends came out to the front yard and asked if I had come in the house at all since coming back from the store. I told them no, but they said that they had saw me walk into the house, go past them, and they were trying to talk to me, but I did not talk back. I just walked past them and I went into my room. And they followed me, but I was not in my room because I wasn't actually in the house. All of those events occurred, and then there was nothing for the years from 18 to 30. 30-year-old me has 2 kids, 4 and 7 at the time, and they have a friend who is 6. I'm in the garage, working out with the 6-year-old's mom. My kids were in the playhouse phase, so I would frequently hear, "Mom, Mom," only to be told that it wasn't me that they were calling for. So I hear them all playing, and I hear, "Mom, hey, Mom, Mom." And I tell my friend, I don't know whether to go in or to wait. They know that we're in the garage, but no one comes out. So I think, okay, they're just playing. A few minutes later, the door opens, and my older daughter comes out and she says, "Wow, Mom, how did you do that? Are you magic?" She tells me that they were playing and they wanted something to drink. When she came out of the room, I was apparently walking across the living room. Her and the other two followed me into a bedroom, but I wasn't there. My daughter said, I called your name, but you didn't answer, and then I saw you go into the room, but now you're out here. How did you do that? I told her I'd been outside this whole time, and she looked at me so confused. And then she said, quote, but mommy, it had your hair, unquote. Nothing happened again for a while until this year. I work nights and my partner works days. I got a text at 4 a.m. one morning asking if I had been talking to my partner over our security cameras. I had not. He told me that he had fallen asleep on the couch and woke up to me saying, quote, hey, come to bed, unquote. I told him, no, I was not on camera, but maybe he was sleeping still. He said that he thought that too, until I said it again more angrily. It wasn't me though. I'm now 35, and yesterday I heard my younger daughter's very distinct cough coming from her bedroom, but she was not here. It's never anything malicious, but it is one of the very few unexplainable things that I have in my life. Let me adjust my tinfoil hat for just a second. My theory is that it's a haunting based on alternate reality versions of myself and others. Almost as if another timeline is getting merged with now. But that is so far out there, I just can't figure out what it is. That is what I think. That's exactly what I think. Next story. I ran into mine at work. I was working a later shift than usual, 1300 to 2200, and it was business as usual. Stocking shelves, keeping busy, killing time since it was getting closer to my last break, and I was in the final stretch of the night. Now, for some degree of context, I have a distinct appearance in my workplace. I'm on the taller side, wiry, long hair, cargo pants, steel-toed boots, black beanie. I'm in my head, straightening up a shelf, And all of a sudden, I get the strongest urge to turn and look down the aisle. And that is when I see him. It looks exactly like me. It's looking at the shelf parallel to mine and at the opposite end of the aisle. It has the same build, same hair, same blue shirt over a black hoodie. I stop dead. They stop and look at me. We both just stand there a minute before they bolt and they go around the corner. I stopped stalking and I followed it, but I couldn't find it after that. It was really weird, and I tried to brush it off as not being super familiar with the Night Stalk crew, but I have not seen him around since. This thing looked like it was caught more than anything. Hence, I think the booking it around the corner. Oh, that gives me chills. I used to work in a grocery store when I was a teenager. I think I started when I was 17. And I always worked really early mornings. Like I would start at 4 and 5 in the morning. And it was always just me, one person in the bakery, and then maybe on occasion a manager would come in early, but it was usually just me and one other person. And I would be walking up and down the aisles doing my job. And if I saw myself, oh my god, I would be pretty freaked out. I only had one thing ever happen to me at that job. No, actually I had two. But one time, there was somebody parked like right in front of the door. And I had a weird feeling, like I didn't know who they were, didn't know what was happening. I didn't get out of my car to walk in. It was like one of those moments in my life when I had a deep, like guttural feeling, something wasn't right, and I did not go inside. I was late. It was fine. Told the manager what had happened. But yeah, I didn't go in. Anyway. So, I want to preface this by saying that everyone in the household except my mother has seen, heard, or experienced something weird in our house on multiple occasions. Our house is as old as I am, so it has no history to it that would warrant it. Before our neighborhood was built, it was woods and some farmland. When I was in high school, I'd like to say maybe sophomore year, I came home and went to my room. It was sometime after 3 p.m., so there was daylight. On the way to my bedroom is a short hallway where my sister's room and a bathroom are across from each other before reaching my room. My sister had moved out for college, so she was not there. I always got a feeling like I was being watched from her room ever since I was little. And I got this feeling whether she was there or not. I had never seen or heard anything though. Just the feeling was prevalent. I avoided even looking at her room because it actually creeped me out so much. But our family dog liked to sleep on the bed in there, so I figured that nothing bad was around at least. On this day, I dared to glance into the room as I walked past it, and my eye caught movement from the closet door that was not shut all the way. I opened it a little bit, and I saw a person peeking out at me. I stopped and I froze, and then the door opened a little bit more, and the person I thought looked a lot like me. It had my body shape and it had my hair, but where the face should have been was just blank, pale skin. No eyes, no nose or mouth. It wore clothes that reminded me of my sister, but not ones that I would wear. I remember that the shirt had a stripe or pattern on it, but I only usually wear graphic tees. So it was like it had, it had combined my body with my sister's clothing. No. I panicked and I bolted to my room, closing my door behind me, and I hid under my bed sheets. I told it out loud to go away, and I prayed in my mind that I wouldn't ever see it again. I haven't. The feeling of being watched from my sister's former bedroom kind of went away after that. It's like it was watching me for years and years in an effort to copy me or copy my sister. I think it wanted to mess with me. I didn't get bad intentions necessarily from it, but it scared me. I'm pretty sure that our dog was sleeping in there when it happened, but I really do not ever want to see it again. I would get my dog out of there so fast. Save the dog. Save the dog. Creepy. All I can picture is the girl from The Ring. Okay. We stayed in this extremely old, creepy cabin in Montana. It was in the middle of nowhere, and it was so old that it didn't even have a bathroom, just an outhouse. there was a rope that went from the cabin to the outhouse, so you could navigate back and forth at night because it was pitch black. The cabin was super unsettling, and it had some strange details about it. The strangest being that there was this really, really tall bed in the upstairs loft where you had to climb stairs to get onto the bed. What? And under the bed was this child-sized door that locked from the outside. Just completely bizarre. Locked from the outside. So one night, my mom is dead asleep one night when she wakes up out of the blue feeling really afraid. She opens her eyes to see my stepdad just staring at her with freakishly wide eyes, a scary grin, and she said that he looked horrifying. He asked her, quote, "How are you feeling?" unquote. But this actually made sense because the first day we got there, she had gotten really sick and she stayed that way the entire trip. And it sucked because there were no hospitals anywhere nearby. Oh my god. As soon as he asked her this, she hears footsteps approaching. And when she looked to see who was coming up the stairs, it was none other than my stepdad. He had gone outside to use the outhouse and was super confused when she told him what had happened. She turned back to see who was in bed with her, but nobody was there, and we left the next morning. And she also felt better within hours of us getting on the road. Oh my god, that sounds like the beginning of a new Conjuring movie. Claiming that idea. Oh, that is horrifying. I don't like that at all. We have had a mimic at our house the last couple of years. My son, now 26, was hit by a car at age 4. That's awful. He flatlined and was revived 3 times. He was not expected to live. But ever since, in every single house that we have lived, there's been activity. Even one house that was brand new and had never been lived in. We have heard voices, footsteps, we've had poltergeist activity, and other things as well. It would be weeks or months between incidents. And it's amazing what you can actually get used to. But lately, we have had a mimic. I have heard my wife and my son call for me from another room to find out that they were not even home. my son and his friend heard my wife putting groceries away while talking on the phone, just to find out that she was still at the store. This terrifies me. When I was in college, friends would hear me talking quietly when I wasn't even in the building, or they would see me when I wasn't in the room. Later, when I became a teacher, students would walk by my office and they would see me in it. And then they would walk into the next room, and that's where I would actually be. I would hear students say my name when the building was empty, and sometimes they would hear me calling them. I did not work very hard to come up with an explanation. I honestly just assumed that there was some sort of paranormal entity that enjoyed mimicking people. It didn't happen often enough to be a concern, as it was just something that happened a few times a year, but it was very creepy. I have a question. This was something that I wanted to do in university when we were doing psychology studies, and I don't remember why I didn't do it. Like the teacher must have said something like it wouldn't work or something, but I wanted to study if humans are capable of actually recognizing themselves in a crowd. And I'd also be curious if you would notice yourself just like walking down the street. And I don't know if I'm alone in this thought, but I honestly don't think I would recognize myself. Like if I was in a crowd and I actually saw my identical self, I don't think I would recognize them as me. And I don't know if it's just, like, I obviously know what my face looks like. And I don't know if it's just because, like, I don't spend a lot of time looking at myself. I don't know, but it's weird because I do, because I edit videos. But the few times when I've been editing, there's usually a setting where you can like flip, you can get a mirror image of your own face. Maybe I'll do it here so you guys can actually see what it looks like. But whenever I do that and I look at that image of me, I'm instantly like, ew, what is that? That's not me. But that's actually the version that other people see of me. It's not what I see. So that's why I really think I would not recognize myself. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think you would? Let me know. I thought it would be an interesting study. But come to think of it, like how would you study? I guess you'd have to do like, you'd have to show a bunch of pictures in quick succession or something, and then include one of the person, but that would defeat the purpose because I think it's easier to recognize yourself in pictures. I'm talking about recognizing yourself like on the street. Anyway, When I was in college, I went to visit a friend up north, and I stayed a couple of nights in her dorm room. She was a ceramics major at the time and was on a shift rotation with some other students to take turns watching the big kiln that they were using to bake their projects. One of those nights, she had to leave at like 12 in the morning to be back at 3 or 4 a.m. So I just decided to stay in her dorm to sleep while she went to go and do her shift. I wake up to a call at 2 in the morning, and it's my friend saying that she is back at the dorm and asking if I could come downstairs to let her in because she forgot her key card. From the window in her dorm, you can clearly see the front entrance. So I do a quick peek outside just to see her, but the front of the building is completely empty. I am still on the phone with her, so I ask her where she was, and she replies, "I am right outside the front door. Hurry up and come down. It's cold." I check my phone, and weirdly enough, it's not even her contact. It's a completely random number. The whole thing feels so off, and I am still half asleep through all of this. So I kind of just give up figuring it out. I give up trying to figure it out, and I hang up and I go back to sleep. The next morning, when I see my friend in her bed, I tell her that I'm glad she made it inside, and I apologize to her for leaving her out there. She looks at me like I am crazy, and she says she doesn't even know what I'm talking about because she got in just fine using her key card at about 4:30 a.m. and she saw me there dead asleep. I tell her all about the call that I got from her last night, and she says that it was definitely not her calling. Now, I would have chalked it up to a weird dream, but I go and I double check my call history, and sure enough, there is a random call at 2:13 a.m. She said that it sounds like something or someone was trying to lure me outside, but I'm still not sure what exactly happened. Super weird night. So I, 20, female, am a college student back home visiting my parents over our fall break. Naturally, being a college student, I have a pretty messed up sleep schedule. Hence why it is currently 1:45 a.m. as I'm writing this. About 40 minutes ago, I was out in the kitchen heating up some leftover pasta to munch on as I didn't eat much earlier in the day. We have 3 dogs, so it's not uncommon to hear noises at all hours of the night. However, I'm waiting for the microwave to be done, and I hear my mom say, quote, "Want out?" unquote. Like she is asking one of the dogs if they want to go outside. We recently got a fancy doggy door that links to our invisible fence system. So we don't ask the dogs if they want to go out anymore. They just go outside. I brush it off that I'm just hearing things since my hearing is pretty messed up, thanks to the army. And it's when I take the pasta out of the microwave and I start stirring it that I hear my mom's voice saying again, quote, "Come on, let's go," unquote. Again, this was usually said when letting the dogs out. This time it was more clear, and it really freaked me out. This could easily be debunked as my mom is up and awake. But A, there are no dogs upstairs in my parents' room. And B, my mom works long hours. She's up at 5 a.m. and she works at 8 a.m., gets off about 4 or 5 p.m., then totes my little sisters around. Last night, she and my sister didn't get home until around 10 and didn't go to bed until 11. My sister has homecoming tomorrow, and her hair appointment is 40 minutes away at the butt crack of dawn. So there is no way that my mom is awake. So whatever said those things was not my mom. I've always been empathic, and the only place I've ever really felt a strong off energy is in our basement. I hate going down there alone for multiple reasons, but that is a story for another day. Our house was built in the 90s, and we know both previous owners. Nobody has passed here, so it's unclear to me what could be haunting this house. However, we do live in deep Appalachia, and everything that I have thought it could be is something I didn't see, didn't hear, and I definitely do not say their names. I've never heard of spirits mimicking voices before, but I'm all too familiar with the concept of the creepy, crawly entities that have the capability. But for the sake of my own sanity, until I go home tomorrow or the day after, it was just my mind playing tricks on me. I haven't lived in that house for close to 3 years now. But according to my sister, who still lives there, activity has picked up on the main floor since I've moved out. Okay. So my husband and I were camp counselors at a youth camp, and the boarding school where they were holding the camp was known to be very, very haunted. The camp was for 10 days, husband